What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be talking about 10 hidden gems in Ninjago. So let's talk about this. Now in this video, I want to talk about what I think are 10 rather overlooked episodes in no real order of ranking. These are episodes that I think are generally great and did something wonderful, funny, etc. Episodes that I don't see people really talk about that often. We all seen the really great episodes. Gave a Mask, Green Destiny, The Son of Lily, a whole bunch of good episodes. They're undoubtedly awesome, so we're gonna try to stay clean of those well-known greats. The point of this video is to shed some light on overlooked episodes, 10 hidden gems, that will make you appreciate Ninjago just a bit more with these episodes. And hey, if you guys really enjoyed this video, let's get this video to 20 likes and I'll talk about 10 more episodes. So, without further ado, let's dive in.
Who will answer my riddle?
Riddle of the Sphinx is a great episode just because that it focuses on the other characters just besides Nia's team. It more focuses on Kai, Rei, Cole, Wu, and Masako. After receiving Nia's warning and rushing to the Explorers Club to retrieve the amulet, they successfully answer a riddle to gain access just as Kalmar and his forces arrive to battle for the amulet. Meanwhile, on the island, Ventamar encouraged Nia to try using her powers in a surprising new way, giving them a chance to return to Ninjago City. Now, there are some pretty cool moments throughout this episode, such as Nia now controlling at whales and basically any sea creature that is tying in with the elemental power of water. Really like the dynamic between Kai and Rei in the beginning of the episode, and by far my favorite is this scene.
I know! Cake! Cake? Cake's usually the answer to everything.
Overall, this is a pretty good episode, and I highly recommend watching this just because it breaks the norm of, not focusing on the main plot, but focusing on them trying to get back the amulet from Kalmar.
On your mark, get set,
Now, people despise this episode, but to me, I think this is a fun little episode where the ninjas learn that Darrow's Mojo Dojo is being destroyed and Darrow doesn't have the money to save it. So, the ninja entered the annual Ninja Ball run to win its cash prize in order to save the dojo. This episode was a very fun and enjoyable episode just because that it's literally just the ninja having a race between other competitors trying to get the money to save Darrow's dojo. And it was quite fun seeing the ninja racing against other competitors. And this is really at that moment where the beginning of season 2 there wasn't really a whole plot between the entire season of season 2. So the first few episodes of this season were just some fun, quirky episodes, while the rest of season 2 got into the bigger plot of the story of the ninja fighting off and defeating the Overlord. This episode really doesn't have any tie-ins to the overall story of season 2, but it is a quite and funny little episode to just binge and watch. I mean, it is a pretty cool, enjoyable episode at the end of the day. So I highly recommend this episode, even though this episode doesn't tie in to the overall story of season 2, but it's still a quite enjoyable episode.
That is my sole purpose in life, for I am Okino!
I Am Okino is an episode on, Okino. Basically his origin story before meeting the ninja. Okino is a serious duty-bound samurai warrior who is unaware that Prime Empire is a game, since he is part of it. His job is to lead players throughout the 3 dangers of Terra Kitana, the Force of Disconnect, the Cliffs of Hysteria, and the Maze of the Red Dragon, where the first Kitana is located. Unfortunately, the game is rigged to be nearly impossible, and Okino quickly fails his masters, who are dematerialized into cubes of energy. As more and more masters are cubed, Okino begins to lose faith in his abilities. One day, Okino meets another samurai like himself, who is more successful in keeping her master alive. Okino enlists this as a fault of his own, so he trains and pushes himself as never before. Despite all of his efforts, he loses more masters. Okino prepares to abandon his responsibilities when a final group of travelers arrive seeking his help, that being the ninja. I really like this episode analyzing a brand new character into the season, like Okino. And Okino really lost a bunch of his masters because his masters were kind of dumb in some capacities. But Okino still kept going, he still kept his grudges, but he of course almost gave up until the ninjas came by and gave Okino a second chance. And honestly, it's a good episode to introduce a new character into the season and analyzing of his history and leading up to him meeting with the ninja. So I recommend this episode just because this episode is a standalone episode focusing on one of the new characters introduced in this season.
It doesn't feel that long to me.
This ends now.
The Hands of Time is a great first impression of the first episode of the season, where Wu mistakenly tries to single-handedly complete a battle he began decades ago against the Chronics, one of the twins of the Hands of Time. But the arrival of the first Time Blade, a weapon with the power to speed up time, sends the ninja to the monastery just in time to rescue their master from a certain doom. This was a great episode to start off with the season. I really like Wu and the Chronics' banter and them fighting each other. I really like that fight scene, especially a Chronics fighting the ninja. That was pretty cool too. But overall, it is a pretty cool episode, minus the writing, because as season 7 goes, the writing is kind of bad.
This scene takes place 40 years ago, during the Serpentine Wars.
During the Serpentine Wars? But Ninjago was at peace!
But overall, it is a good episode just between the fight scenes between Chronics, Wu, and the ninja. But it is still a good episode at the end of the day.
And now, our powers are back.
As you get strong, so will we. And they haven't even seen us at full strength.
Grave Danger is a really important episode because this episode sets up a lot of things for the future of the franchise, where the ninja use Ronan's airship to travel to the tomb of the first Ninjutsu master in an underwater cave under the ocean, only to find out Moro is already there and the ninja must traverse the temple traps without the aids of the Sword of Sanctuary in a desperate attempt to get the tomb first. Like I said, this episode is very important because this sets up the future of the franchise, most notably the realms. Now, in this episode, we are introduced to the 16 realms that are paralleled to Ninjago, making a total of 17 realms. And they did kind of tease that we will see more realms in the upcoming seasons of the show. But at the time that the original series had ended, we only have seen 10 of the 17 realms. Well, thanks to, of course, Dragon's Rising, a sequel series to the original, we only have seen 4 of the 7 realms because we have seen the last 3 realms in the cliffhanger of Season 3, Episode 20. So in Season 4 of Dragon's Rising, we will finally see the last 3 realms introduced into the franchise, meaning that we have seen all 17 realms that had been setting up all the way back since Season 5 up to being paid off into Dragon's Rising Season 4. So this episode was kind of really important, but overall it's still a great episode, really like the ninja's reflections of the future, which Doc Wyatt did confirm that those are still relevant and still are in the future of the show's canon, so nothing has been altered. So overall, it is a great fantastic episode to set up the realms being paid off into Dragon's Rising Season 4.
And I'd do anything if it meant getting to help true heroes like you.
Well, I don't know. You know what? Yeah, I could do with some help.
Now, the Temple of the Dragon Course is also a pretty important episode just because they expanded the lore after the original series has ended. So, the ninja settle into a new normal after their victory against Imperium. They stop another earthquake, but the disturbance are getting more frequently. So, Nia's research guides them to a temple and 3 dragon cores that could stop the quakes for good. Meanwhile, Beatrix plots her revenge and plans to steal the cores for use as weapons. Even though this episode expanded upon the lore of the franchise, there were some good moments such as the moments of the new ninja, Eren, Sora, and Wildfire. I really like their dynamic in this episode, especially with Eren and Sora. Now, moving forward into the expansion of the lore, the spirit of the temple explains that the first Penjitsu master created not just Ninjago, but many other realms, which might end up merged together. But he consulted with the 7 Source Dragons to create 3 Dragon Cores to keep the realms stable. When the first Penjitsu master passed on, the realms eventually merged and the merged quakes are being unstable. And the only solution is to bring the Dragon Cores together. And I love how they keep expanding the lore of the franchise after the original series has ended. Prior, we only saw 10 of the 17 realms in the original series, and with Dragon's Rising expanding the whole lore of the franchise, we're getting in the last 7 realms, including some new history about the franchise, such as Thunderfang with the Forbidden 5, with the first Penjitsu master consulting with the 7 Source Dragons. I really like how this episode started to span upon what the original series ended, with the new sequel series brings to us with the table of expanding the lore of the franchise. Give this episode a watch just because this episode expanded the lore of what the original series has done.
But I'm sure you have a plan!
Not me!
Alas, no.
The Real Fall is a funny and quirky little episode just because there's no plot that centrics the surroundings of season 13, but it's basically just Vanya trying to catch the falling Wu and Cole. But all 3 of them find themselves plummeting down into the mountains. As they fall, they encounter various bizarre threats and creatures before they are swept over a waterfall and tumbling through a sinkhole to wash up on the shore. And that's basically the whole plot of this episode. There's no real plot that connects with season 13, but it is a funny and quirky little episode. But in all seriousness, this is a pretty funny episode and a pretty chill episode. I mean, we only get to see 3 centric characters, that being Vanya, Wu, and Cole. Really like how we're just mainly focusing on those 3, but not like Mia's team and Kai's team. So I really like how we only get a standalone episode on these 3 characters just falling down into the depths of the mountain. So it is a pretty quirky episode. I find myself really enjoying this episode, so go give this a watch just because of how funny and ridiculous and quirky of an episode it is.
I realize there is a benefit to them, even grief.
There's hope for you yet, Zane.
The benefit of grief is a great character analysis on Zane in this episode, where Zane, Kai, and Derv hitch a ride to Ninjago City with a wannabe singer named Sally, thinking that the police are after her for a stolen van. She leads Hound Dog McBride on a high-speed chase throughout the desert. Zane believes that Sally's roller coaster of emotions is telling her to return home, so the ninja escorts Sally back to her farm, and Zane turns on his emotion meter after seeing the value in grief. Now, I really like this episode because it gives Zane a nice little analysis of him not being very emotional throughout the first half of season 15. Now, throughout season 15, the first half, Zane turned off his emotion meters after the sacrifice of Nia at the end of Seabound. So Zane turns off his emotion meters and became straight up monotone. But after seeing and going through what Sally was doing during this episode, he realized that he needs to focus on becoming more human and accepting his emotions, rather than being a robotic figure. So, Zane turns back his emotion meters on and Zane realized that there is some benefit in grief. So I really love the Zane analogy in this episode with him dealing with grief throughout the first half of Crystallize. So give this episode a watch just because I really like how they showed Zane's analysis of him growing to learn about the benefit of grief.
There's nothing today. Everything's fine. See?
Paper Girl is a really good Nelson and Antonio episode where this episode takes place during the last episode, Riddle of the Sphinx, where Antonia has decided to quit her Paper Girl job since nothing she does makes anything different. Nelson is demised to hear this and tries to convince her to not give up. Then they come across Kalmar battling the ninjas for the Storm Amulet, and they must escape with the amulet to keep it out from his tentacles. During the battle, Antonia and Nelson save Kai's life, proving that everyone can make a difference. Now, this is by far my favorite Nelson and Antonio episodes from them, and I really like this episode. It's a very cool chase sequence, but by far my favorite moment from this episode is Kai drowning to his death.
A man has fallen into the river in Lego City.
Overall, really like Antonio's character arc and making her, of course, change her perspective of not quitting the paperboy job and, of course, continuing her job as a paper girl.
He recommends vocal exercises like bro bro goo goo, bro bro goo goo.
Ninja vs. Lava is the most quirky and funny episode from season 11, where after Kai is left powerless and unconscious in the wake of Aspira's attack, the ninja also discovered that Aspira has used her magic to cause the pyramid to slowly flood with lava. So by working together, the ninja managed to break out of the crypts and flee through a maze of corners where the ninja managed a number of narrow escapes, avoiding lava and reanimated mummified serpentine warriors as they tried to reach the surface of the pyramid. They finally arrive only to see that the pyramid is surrounded by lava. Preparing to face the end, the ninja are finally reunited as a team. At the last moment, Pixel arrives and whisks the ninja to safety. Now, throughout the whole episode, there were a lot of funny gems because all of them came from Jay. But most notably, Jay's infamous meme in this episode.
Like, bro bro goo goo, bro bro goo goo.
How is saying a bunch of nonsense possibly gonna help us?
Now, also what I really like from this episode is Kai's little gag at the end of the episode.
But, why does my face hurt so much?
But overall, this is a very quirky episode of the ninjas trying to manage themselves to escape the pyramid while being chained up. Really love the premise that all the ninja are chained up together like a team, working their way out to escape the lava pyramid. So overall, it is a funny episode, and I highly recommend to watch this episode of how quirky and funny this episode is. So there we have it, 10 hidden gems from these Ninjago episodes. Now, are there other great Ninjago episodes, you ask? Well, duh, yeah, of course there are. There are plenty. But I can't talk about all the good ones. But hey, if this video does well, maybe I'll do a part 2. So, get this video to 20 likes and I'll do a part 2 on hidden gems from more Ninjago episodes. So yeah, click the like button and also the subscribe button because hopefully I can do a part 2 of more hidden gems from Ninjago episodes. So yeah, but until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this video on me talking about 10 hidden gems from Ninjago episodes. What do you guys think about this? Leave all your thoughts down in the comments down below. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys subscribe, turn on notifications whenever I post a brand new video. And until then, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!